Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Deeksha ma'am. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. So, guys, we are here today, Deeksha ma'am and I, Manisha from LeapScholar. We are
Yes.
here to discuss an essay with you all after a lot of requests from you guys that we should come up with a writing evaluation or a writing analysis. So, we are responding to that request of yours, and here we
Yes.
are
Yes.
today with a video in which we are going to evaluate a student's essay.
Yes.
Yeah, Diksha ma'am.
Yes, because there have been a lot of requests in the classes when we cover that particular module of writing. They say that, ma'am, please cover the technical areas. Although that is covered in the classes also, but there are certain students who cannot be there and they want to review later. They want to watch a video and understand line by line, phrase by phrase. So here we are catering to everybody, and especially the ones who requested for this video. We're going to be taking up the writing task written by one of the students.
Yes. So basically, by the time ma'am shares the screen, students, there are certain aspects. You have a question, then you respond to the question in 40 minutes. However, it is not completely 40 minutes that a student utilizes in writing, because there are certain aspects like brainstorming of the ideas and then at last proofreading. These are two crucial key aspects that the students also need to include
Need
in
to take
those
care of.
40
Hmm.
minutes. So
Yes, ma'am.
on an average, a student gets maximum 30 minutes to write. Rest 10 minutes they have to utilize in brainstorming and also
Mm,
in
mm.
proofreading. So
Proofreading. Yeah.
when a student involves himself or herself in these two key aspects, they'll find themselves working better, writing
Yes.
better, and
Writing
once
better. Mm.
the proofreading has taken place, those 5 minutes they can identify the mistakes that they have made in writing. It
Mm.
could be a grammatical mistake, it could be a
They
spelling
can
mistake.
they can structure their answer very well while brainstorming. What information goes in what paragraph? And
Correct.
proofreading, yes. So while they are in a hurry, they're just writing or typing, depends on the mode of their exam. So proofreading is very important. So we'll
Right.
discuss that.
Right.
So
So it's going to be a conversational video where both of us are going to identify the mistakes of the students, and we are also going to help you understand how it could be written or what the students' thought process was and how it does not gel with the way IELTS essay has to be written.
yes, has to be written, must be written for a higher
Yes.
band score. That is the
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
So we would be discussing the question type in question right now. We would be discussing the structure, the correct structure, and where do we go wrong? Why do we, regret later why I scored less? So let's understand that. Number of paragraphs. Yes, some students say that can we write 5 paragraphs? Can we write 6 paragraphs? So let's understand how many. What is the ideal number of paragraphs? Then connectors, very important, because one of the
Very important.
parameters of my IELTS band is based on coherence and cohesion. So that I can
Correct.
only do when I use appropriate connectors, accurate connectors to say what I want to say. And
Right.
vocabulary, most important.
Most important, and as keep asking that how crucial is vocabulary, can I use
Vocabulary.
this word, can I write like this, can this
Uh,
word be written?
uh,
Then they search a lot on internet while they are writing, and then they input certain words which are not actually required in
yes.
writing session. So this essay will also talk about any particular word that the student has included and should either could be avoided or either could be changed or
Changed.
substituted with
Ma'am, they
a
are very
better.
confused between formal and informal words. For
Right.
example, kids. They use kids in their
Kids is
answer.
informal. Kids is
It's informal.
informal word.
Ah,
Right. So
so
children is a different word and kids is a
yeah,
different word.
different.
So
Ah,
kids are like something that you use in your spoken realm.
yeah,
Cannot
but
be
not
used
in
in your
writing.
written. Cannot be used
Mm,
in writing.
mm.
So
In
these are the,
yeah, in the same similar way, gadgets is
yeah.
formal, but gizmos is informal.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, correct. Right. So let's move to the writing the question. The question that we have today is this.
Yes.
More and more companies allow their employees to work from home or remotely rather than going into an office each day.
Mm.
Do the advantages of this policy outweigh the disadvantages?
Yes.
Now, I'm very sure that as soon as the student has read this
Read the
question,
question. Mm. Mm.
something that he is going to quickly connect to is the current situation.
Ah, yes, ma'am. Pandemic.
Pandemic,
We're
everyone will
working
have the idea of
remotely. Yeah.
pandemic, and everybody will be talking about it, and everybody will be writing about it.
Is it the right
So
way? Is it the right strategy, ma'am, to follow?
it, you can of course talk about what is going on in the current times. In fact, that is a good way of talking about or including that in your essays.
Yes.
However, there has to be a different way of putting it. So if you're going to
Mm.
talk about the current situation, then
Mm.
it can either be a part of an explanation, or more importantly, it should be a part of an example that
Example.
we are
Yeah.
going through a situation like this. So when you
Yes.
have an idea, after that you could just include your example by saying currently we are going through the pandemic, and
Mm.
everyone's working from home, or most of the people are working from home, and how it has affected, or what are the
Mm.
advantages or the
Mm.
disadvantages of working from home.
How it has been fruitful and how it has been not. So certain
Right,
areas. So you have to
right.
focus on the advantages and disadvantages. Let's see what the student has written
Let's see that. Yes.
here.
So, the students can take just pause, take a quick read at the introduction that the student has written. Of course, we have already read it. We know what the mistakes the students have done. So, we would like you to take a few seconds to read this
To go
paragraph.
through the introduction paragraph.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I wanted to also talk about that students confuse this kind of a question. They completely ignore the word outweigh and they
It's
simply talk about what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages.
right.
And
So,
is
there are
this
two
an
aspects.
opinion also, ma'am?
Do the advantages of this policy outweigh the disadvantages? Of course, when you have written whether the advantages are more or the disadvantages are more, you will at the end just state that because of the advantages that you stated, or the disadvantages that you stated, or the number of advantages and the disadvantages you stated, based on that you will give your opinion that due to these reasons it could be
Yeah.
more
Or
there are more merits to it, or
yes, yes.
demerits to that. So
So
that will
according
come
to
a little
me,
later.
yeah. So something like according to me, the merits of working from home outweigh or exceed
Right,
demerits, something like
right.
that. But
Yeah,
students confuse this and they simply talk about what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages, and they lose bands. So
right.
that's very
So
sad.
two aspects, the prompt and the question. So if we understand the prompt is that companies, let's understand the keywords in the
Hmm.
question. Yes,
Hmm.
more and more companies allow their employees to work from home. So it's
Hmm.
not that some people are just coming up with this thought or an idea. It is that the companies have allowed their employees to work from home or
Yes.
remotely rather
Yes.
than going into an office. So we have to identify these keywords, that it is about the companies, it is about allowing or permitting the employees to work from home or remotely
Hmm.
rather than going to the office. So it's the company's uh, thought and not
Hmm.
people's thought in general.
It's
And
not
then the
there.
second task is that based on this prompt, the student must write do the advantages of this policy outweigh the disadvantages. So
Disadvantages.
once the brainstorming has been done, the student has to decide that what are the advantages of working from home remotely, and what are the working advantages
Disadvantages.
of
Yeah.
disadvantages of working from home. I think everyone can relate, and so brainstorming is not required. We'll just go through this introduction wherein the student
Hmm.
starts with no one can negate that some people believe that work from home is the best for employees, whereas other people prefer going
Going
into an
into an
office.
office. So
Right,
the student has written it on its own. Like the student thought that because he got confused with other such questions, like a discussion question, wherein there is some people and there are others. So here, I think the student has merged that kind of a writing answer with here, which does not make a sense, which is not relatable with what is provided. So I think
right,
we need to stick to what is there. More and
right.
more companies
So
allow, and student is not talking about companies, organizations are allowing.
So he's not to touch the keywords at all. He's just saying
Right.
that some people
Oh,
believe. Whereas the question does not talk about some people, it talks about the companies allowing.
companies.
So
Yes.
basically, the student has not touched on the keywords that are
Hmm.
there in the prompt, which are crucial for the writing. That
Crucial
means
for
he's
writing.
actually not addressed the task in the first line
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm.
And he's started talking about two opinions, and there are no two opinions
There
over
are
here.
no opinions here. It's
So
just a
that
statement.
sentence,
Yeah.
it's just a statement. So no one can negate that. And again, starting your sentence with "no one can negate that" is irrelevant to this sentence. Second thing, some people believe, is again irrelevant to the statement, as it does not have any connect to the prompt given to us.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not
Some people believe is not there. What
yes,
people are thinking, what is people's view? It's not the part of the task. And students are unnecessarily using that. So we want to let you know that please avoid that. We should
yeah,
not be doing that. We should stick to what is the situation provided and only try to rephrase that.
right.
So maybe we can use gerunds, we can use passive structure, we can use different
Yes.
structures to say the
So
same thing.
yes, so the student could have said something that an increasing number of companies
Hmm.
are permitting there, instead of saying allowing, then can
Hmm.
say they're permitting. So increasing number of companies nowadays, because it's a
Nowadays,
trend going on
yes.
nowadays,
Hmm.
an increasing number of companies are allowing their staff or their people or their employees uh, to work
To,
from home. So
to
you need
choose
to
to work from home. Yeah.
choose to work from home. So the
Yes.
sentence had to be like this, rather than going to
Hmm.
the office or attending
Hmm.
the office, or
Attending the office. Yeah.
attending the office or coming to
Hmm.
the office on a daily basis. That could
Yeah.
have been the paraphrase sentence.
Hmm.
And
More and
then,
more employers ask their
now,
employees to work remotely or,
correct.
yes.
Going to the next
Right.
sentence.
In this pandemic, it has become a very controversial topic. It's not controversial. Therefore, I will discuss the reasons,
To support each
each
view,
view,
it's
and
not a
what merits they
discussion.
bring to society.
It's not a discussion essay. So he should have talked
Yes.
about the advantages, the merits, the demerits, the pros and the cons, and not talk about the views. So that is an
Mm,
incorrect uh, mm, thesis statement.
mm,
So he did say that he's going to talk about the reasons. He did state a thesis. So there is a paraphrasing and there is a thesis statement, but they both are irrelevant to the topic. So the
mm.
student at the end seems or thinks that I have addressed the topic. So when
Yeah.
in the examination hall, you may not actually realize that you are making a big mistake over here by not addressing the topic. You
Topic.
think that you have
Mm,
written the
mm.
paraphrasing, you think that you have written the thesis statement, but again, they are not relevant to the
Not
topic.
relatable. Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes. So we are indirectly sending a message to our examiner that we have not understood, and we are writing whatever we feel like writing, whatever I know. So that
yes.
is not
The
what
task
should be done
response.
for a higher bands. Yes.
Yes. So it is going to it's going to hamper his task response scores.
Mm, right. So coherence and cohesion, the student loses marks. Task
Yes.
achievement, the student loses marks.
Right.
Vocabulary, we can see the student has not used a lot of different words, copied almost similar
Just
words.
because he was not on the task, he could not even use a
Yeah,
relevant vocabulary.
right,
Okay.
right.
So
Ma'am, this is BP1 now, which is
yeah.
written by the student. On the one
Yes.
hand,
Now, because he is talking about two views, he is talking about on the
yeah,
one hand,
and
which
on the other hand,
and
so
on the other hand, so again, out of the topic, yes, he did start. That's a wonderful that thing that he started with a
with the
connector.
connector, yes.
So that is definitely required. However, there's an incorrect use of the connector. And second thing, the grammar, as you can see, is not correct.
Working from home has many benefits. Many, mm,
Many could be replaced.
many could be
Several,
replaced. Several, yes,
various,
yeah,
several,
various,
ample.
yeah. Mm,
Use simple words. These are words that you all know. So when you're talking about benefits, these are not going to be uncountable or abundance in your essay. You're not going to talk about an abundance of benefits. You're just going to discuss two or three or maybe benefits,
mm,
not more
mm,
than that. So in that case, the word many students may say here plethora. So
Mm.
again, the plethora would not suit the context because you are not going to talk about plethora of the
Plethora
benefits.
of advantages. Yeah.
Yes,
So it has benefits first and foremost, and another benefit. I think two benefits, but again, the student has not mentioned what outweighs what. Are the benefits more, or are the drawbacks more? So
right.
again, the thesis is very vague, and
It's
the
vague, no
examiner
clarity.
clarity is not there. It's
Right.
ambiguous,
Yes.
right? And then after the sentence, the second sentence should be to support my previous sentence. Yes.
Yes, correct.
However, the student has written an example here to exemplify. One does not need to commute every day to work. They can just stay at home and save extra time to be productive. Hmm.
So this is
So it is,
not an example, it is a
it
supportive
is,
statement.
yes,
So where he is explaining what are the benefits. So it is important to understand the amount of fuel and time is one is saving. So I
yeah.
would consider that that's a reason or the
Hmm.
benefit
The
that the
benefits
student is
of
going to
working
get.
from home. Yeah.
But there's no explanation. Rather, he said it's an
Explanation to
example.
that. Yeah.
However, it's not an example. If you write an
Hmm.
example, it has to be particular. For example, I feel, or in my experience, or when
Yeah.
I saw something, or when you talk
Yeah.
about a particular place or a company or a person, when it becomes an example.
Or
So
simply
this
like my organization has
exactly,
asked or did a survey of employees working from home, because sectors like finance, tourism could be taken care of, and teaching by home,
yes,
at home, from
yes.
home. You don't need to go to workplaces. Yeah.
So it had to
So
be
it
a
is
specific
connected.
example.
Mm,
So this is rather not an example; it's a supportive statement.
yeah. Hmm. One gets to spend. I see another grammar mistake here.
Yes,
This one gets to
yeah,
spend more time with their family. So this is another
correct.
advantage which should have been written like another advantage of working remotely is one gets to give more
Spend
time to their family or spend more
correct.
time with their family
So
members.
that would also bring a coherence to the sentence, another important aspect or another important
Yeah.
feature. So that would give a transition from the previous sentence to the next sentence. Here,
Next
the
sentence.
transition
Yeah.
is lacking. Hence,
Hmm.
again, a problem with the coherence in the cohesion.
Yeah. Yes. Not very clear. Not very clear.
Not clear.
This is
Uh,
BP2.
could we just go back to the last slide and again discuss this last sentence? For instance,
Yes.
one can be at
Yes.
home working as well as spend time with their loved ones. This sentence is also not correct because it's not an example, as you have already seen, it's a
Yeah.
generalization.
It's a
So
generalization.
generalizations are not examples. Make your example should be more specific and they shouldn't be so general. So rather, the student, if is talking about these two things, saving fuel and time in commuting, could that is explanation. Then
Yes.
coming to the next point where he's talking about spending, one gets to spend time with the families. Again, this is the second advantage to this concept that we're talking about. And
Situation. Yes.
lastly, an example that would club both of these, that how it saves your time and fuel and how you are able to spend more time with the families.
Yes.
So it could be about my organization has given me during the lockdown I was working from home, so which gave me enough time to spend with my family, as well as
Hmm.
at the same time I could save time and I could also save fuel
Fuel.
because I didn't have to commit every day to work.
Hmm.
Those
Another
two,
question. Are examples important? I mean,
of
if I
course,
write examples, then do they give me 8 bands?
it's not that they give you 8 bands, but they give you evidence to the answer. If you read the entire question, just below the question, it is written, give examples related to your experience or
Support your
knowledge.
view.
Yes, so
Mm,
you need to support your views with that. So
mm,
examples are crucial. Without example, your statements are just statements. How do you provide
mm,
an evidence to your
mm.
writing? So examples
Yes,
are always there to give evidence to what you have said. Oh yes. So when the reader is there reading your answer, they get an understanding. Oh yes, you know it. You have
yes,
experience.
yes.
You
And
have a
you're
good.
able to relate it.
Yes.
Yes,
So examples are
absolutely.
crucial. Without example, your writing is blunt. It's just a statement.
Mm, very informative. I'm sure this is going to be very informative for students to understand the structure. First advantage, explain the advantage, give an example. Secondly, second advantage, explain the advantage. What do you mean by that? And give an example. So if you are saying it saves the time and fuel, how? How are you doing that? That is the explanation. And then another example, if you want to.
Right.
One
Right.
example per paragraph, I think it's sufficient because
Sufficient.
we have to, move to the BP2 also.
Okay.
On the other hand,
On
in
the other
spite of the
hand,
above argument, that's not an
mm,
argument, that was
mm,
advantages.
yes.
Other people prefer going to office each day. People prefer going to office. It was not there
So again, the
in
same
the
mistake
task.
on the task. If we talk about each day has its own benefits. Now we had to write the disadvantages and not the
Yes,
benefits. So it is
yes.
completely off topic at the moment.
Off topic, off beat. Absolutely. Do you think the examiners read through and through such paragraphs, or they just
Right?
skim and they
No,
see
no,
that it's not appropriate and they
no, no.
judge your writing?
No, no, they'll look into all the four parameters. When they have to look into all the
Yes,
four
yes.
parameters, they definitely get an idea. So just like us sitting over here, we got taken aback what the student has written.
So we had already talked. We had discussed most of this BP2.
Yeah, we'll come to directly to the for example. Again, it's not a for example. We'll come to that.
Yes.
Okay,
One can
so
feel little lazy at work. Yes.
okay,
Again, it's negative. One can feel lazy at work, but it is not connected to my last point, makes you more productive.
yes.
So it is, however, not in the way how it should be.
It should not, it's not at all, it's not talking about, it is talking about drawbacks in a different manner.
Yeah.
And again, the same mistake as done in the previous paragraph. It's a for example. No, it's not an example. Again,
Not an
it's
example.
just an explanation of why it makes you feel productive, more
Hmm.
productive. Secondly, the second disadvantage in office helps you in networking, and this is
Hmm.
very important for the people who are freshers.
Hmm.
Freshers, F is capital, grammatical errors.
Grammar error. And
Right,
a student has also not taken care of punctuations at most places. I could see that commas are missing or full stops were missing. So we have
right.
to take care of that also.
True, true. So these are the basically this entire paragraph is offbeat because it doesn't say that it is disadvantages. However, it says it in a different manner, but it's
Yeah,
giving
but not directly. It's
it's
not
giving
clear.
it's
Hmm.
not clear. So the
Not
student
clear.
loses on not being clear. So clarity is lacking. So the student has lost in the task response. Again, the connectors are not correct because they are
And
examples.
ma'am, the student has completely forgotten to acknowledge, do the advantages outweigh the
Outweigh the
disadvantages?
disadvantages
So one paragraph
completely.
should outline two, and the other paragraph will outline one. So 2:1 or 3:2. So more and
Yes,
less. That had to be
that is
taken
not
care of.
that's not been
Hmm.
taken care of. So coherence, cohesion, and again, we do not find any uh, vocabulary
Vocabulary is
that
not
sounds
great.
different. Yeah, it's not great. It's not. Yeah, here you can say maybe it says unique vibe or productive,
Yeah,
but
here also,
but
it's
you can
like very
say
important. Yeah,
one can feel lazy, so one can procrastinate.
lethargic, tend
Right?
to
One
procrastinate the work from home, and
can
the work gets pending, and that is one drawback. And then,
yes,
very important, the student could have used words like vital,
right,
significant,
correct,
essential, one of the essential aspects.
right, yes.
And last but not least, we'll move to the
Conclusion.
conclusion.
Now, the student has written only one sentence as a conclusion, which is
Hmm.
not a good way of completing or concluding the
Your
essay.
essay.
Yes, that sounds completely abrupt and incomplete, of course. So here
Yes.
it says, in conclusion, I personally think that working remotely has more advantages than going into an office
Going
each.
into an office each
But
day.
here he has
Hmm.
addressed that it has more advantages.
Yes, towards the end. But then
Towards
again,
the
it has broken all the coherence question. It should have started from the beginning, should have been followed in BP1 to BP1 and BP2, and then again concluded with the statement.
right. So the essay overall needs to focus on the task, which is not addressed at all throughout.
Mm,
The
mm.
ideal answer length should be 260 to 280 is
280
considered
words.
the
Yes.
ideal length. So
Mm,
you definitely can write to more, but then
more.
again, time
Mm,
constraint is what you have to
mm,
consider. The student here has written exactly 250 words. So when you're writing just 250 words, you will observe that you're not able to enhance and elaborate on your sentences
mm,
time.
mm.
So
Details are missing, maybe.
missing.
Mm.
So you need to start working on writing 260 to 65 words. That will give you some space to elaborate the answer.
Absolutely. And towards the conclusion, the student can, do the restatement of the thesis along with one prediction, a prediction or a suggestion towards the end.
Right.
You know,
So you're
yeah.
in this situation, one can always give a suggestion, or one can always like a suggestion that how it could be balanced, how these
Mm,
advantages, disadvantages, the demerits could be taken care of. A suggestion
mm,
like that would give strength to the answer.
correct. And anything else, ma'am?
So
You have any advice for students who are taking their test? It's very close. The dates are close, say by the end of this month or the starting of the next month. So, any tips to them?
do take care of the question properly, read the question extremely well, identify the keywords from the question, understand what the task is wanting you to
Is
do. Is it
yes,
advantage, disadvantage? Is it your opinion? Is it a discussion essay?
discussion.
Based on
Yeah,
that, you brainstorm and then plan or structure your essay. So we were also talking about paragraphs. So you see the student has written 4 paragraphs. What would you like to say, Diksha,
yes.
on this?
4 paragraphs are good enough because it was about advantages and disadvantages. So students can well take care of advantages and disadvantages in respective paragraphs. And one thing I want to probably finish this video, and please could you highlight something on proofreading? What is the best way to proofread?
Best way to proofread, see, you do not have enough time to just go and change everything, because that
No.
has to be taken care in your brainstorming thing. So
Yes.
here, when you start proofreading, you must check on the grammar first of all, like the simple errors that were made. There could be typo errors, however they
Hmm.
could be avoided and your sentences could seem better. So check on your grammar, the simple singulars and plurals, the has, have, punctuations and spellings. These are the key things to be
To take care
considered
of. Yes.
while
Before
proofreading.
submitting your answer. Yes.
Anything
Hmm.
else apart from that, Diksha ma'am, if you do?
Um, I think proofreading, if they save like 5 minutes, if they have practiced enough and they know how to structure their answer very well, and they still have 5 minutes towards the end before submitting, I think they go by line, and they can just check for any, again, like you said, a typo error, a spelling error, or a grammar mistake. So
Here, you
yes,
also have a chance to identify whether you wrote any connector incorrectly. Did you use it
ha,
faultily? Or is
yes,
there something lacking?
lacking. You want
Or
to
you
add
haven't used
something?
and you had
Yeah.
to add? So, all
Hmm.
those things, if you have 5 minutes. Otherwise, you will not be able to do all of these things.
I
So,
still feel there is so much more that we come across when we are teaching, at LeapScholar, and the students come across a variety of answers, and there's so much we want to cover. So, shall we do that in the next session? Let's take one more
yes,
session and
in
discuss.
the answer for this will be also given to you in the comments. So yes, in the description we are also going to upload the proper answer to this. We have
Yes,
already uploaded, so you
sample
get
answer for
an
this.
answer for this one.
Absolutely, we're going to
And we
do
are going
that.
to discuss some more essays with you also, that you get an insight on what are the things to be addressed and what are the things to
Yes.
be
Hmm.
not considered while
Hmm.
writing.
And not and focus on the task, and let's learning to focus on the task, because we tend to give a lot of
Exactly.
information from our life, from our experiences. So we have to learn to stick to the task, focus on the task, and just submit it. It's
Right.
easy. I think we make it
It's
complicated, we overthink
yes.
and we complicate it.
Yes,
It's rather
overthinking is one of
easy.
the major problems that the student faces. Overthinking. Can I write like this? Can I do this? Can I do this?
The simple answers are you are overthinking. Relax.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, so you can just stop sharing. So it's all about stick to the point and do not overthink, because in the actual exam you don't have the time to overthink. You just have 40.
40 minutes. They are not
Just
giving you a lot of time. So even they are giving you 40 minutes. Think to the point, write to the point, submit it.
right. Okay. Yeah, so I think it was quite an insightful session.
Session.
We are
Yes.
coming up with more such sessions, and do stay tuned with us at LeapScholar. And of course, also go and check our website for our upcoming sessions.